The night before the wedding was supposed to be peaceful, a time to breathe, to savor the calm before stepping into forever. Instead, it became the moment that shattered everything I thought I knew about love. I remember sitting in my apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes. We were moving in together after the ceremony, and her laughter still echoed in my mind from the rehearsal dinner. Emily had always been a burst of light, spontaneous, bold, and slightly chaotic in the way only people who believe love conquers everything can be. I used to find that chaos charming. I didn't realize it was also her cover. Around midnight, I texted her. Asterisk can't sleep. You up? Asterisk. No response. I figured she was tired, maybe with her bridesmaids, winding down with champagne and giggles. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid fiancé who couldn't let his bride have a night with her friends. But something itched in the back of my mind, a quiet tug I couldn't name. By 1 a.m., I couldn't shake it. I knew she left her phone on Do Not Disturb, but that wasn't it. It was instinct, the kind that presses at your ribs until you act. I grabbed my car keys and drove. Her place was only 15 minutes away, and as I pulled up, I noticed her lights were still on. That small, glowing rectangle of her bedroom window, so familiar, felt different tonight, like it was hiding something. I sat there for 5 minutes, telling myself I was crazy. Then, as if the world itself wanted me to see, her curtain shifted. A shadow crossed it, taller than her, broader. My stomach turned to lead. I stepped out of the car, every sound amplified. The crunch of gravel, the whisper of wind. My heart was a hammer in my chest. I walked toward her door, but before I could knock, laughter floated through the air. Her laugh, then a man's voice. Not mine. My breath hitched. It felt like my body knew the truth before my mind accepted it. I pressed my ear to the door, every muscle in my body trembling. You always knew how to make me laugh, she said softly. God, this feels so wrong. Then why does it feel right? The man replied, his voice low, rough, familiar. Jason, her ex, the one she swore she blocked, deleted, forgotten. The next sound was a whisper, then silence, then the creak of the bed. The air left my lungs. My world narrowed to that single sound. I didn't remember walking back to my car. I didn't remember driving. I only remember sitting in the driver's seat, staring at my trembling hands, her laughter still echoing in my skull like a ghost refusing to leave. The sun was beginning to rise when I got home. My phone buzzed. A text from her. Asterisk morning, love. Can't wait to see you at the altar, Red Heart. Asterisk. I stared at it for a long time before replying. Asterisk, me too. Asterisk. That was the last message I ever sent her. The next few hours were a blur. Family, friends, the venue. It all moved around me like I wasn't really there. I showered, dressed, smiled when people spoke. Everyone thought I was the calmest groom they'd ever seen. They didn't know calm and numb can look the same. At the venue, I stood near the aisle, watching the empty space where she'd soon walk in white. But all I could see was that window, that silhouette, that betrayal replaying in slow motion. 5 minutes before the ceremony, I made my move. I walked outside, pretending to take a call. Instead, I got in my car, drove to the airport, and bought the first ticket out of the state. No goodbye, no confrontation, no explanation. I left my phone on the seat beside me and watched as her name flashed across the screen. Once, twice, then nonstop. She must have realized what I knew. She must have pieced it together when she saw the ring box missing from my pocket or the silence that followed her calls. But I didn't pick up. I couldn't. Sometimes revenge isn't rage, it's absence. And as the plane lifted off, leaving behind the city, the church, and the woman who broke me before we even began, I realized something brutal. She'd see my absence everywhere, in the unspoken questions, the empty seat at the altar, the whispers of guests trying to understand. That would be my final gift to her. Tone. The flight landed in Denver, a city I'd never been to, and yet, at that moment, it felt more like home than anywhere I'd ever known. I didn't have a plan, just a suitcase with my essentials and the faint taste of betrayal still burning the back of my throat. I checked into a quiet motel off the highway. The clerk smiled and said, "You look like a man running from something." I didn't answer, because I wasn't running from something. I was running through it. For days, I didn't call anyone. Not my best friend, not my parents, not even my brother, who had been my best man. I knew what I'd left behind: chaos, confusion, maybe even humiliation. But what no one knew was that the shame didn't belong to me. On the third day, I finally turned my phone back on. Hundreds of missed calls, dozens of texts, and a single voicemail from Emily that played like a confession wrapped in desperation. "Where are you, Ryan? Please, talk to me. I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. It was just one night. I thought about us the entire time. I love you. Please don't do this." Each word twisted deeper into me. I could hear her crying, her breath catching between apologies that felt too late. For a moment, I almost felt pity. Then I remembered the sound of the bed creaking, the laughter she'd shared with another man hours before she was supposed to promise me forever. I deleted the message. A week passed. The news must have spread by then. Our canceled wedding, the guests sent home, the whispers circulating through both families. I imagine her trying to explain, crying in her mother's kitchen, trying to twist the truth into something survivable. She was always good with words, always able to make wrong sound almost right. But there are things you can't talk your way out of. By the second week, I had found a small apartment and a job at a local repair shop. I needed something that required my hands, something that could drown thought in noise. Every night, I came home, ate whatever was in the fridge, and stared at the ring I never got to give her. Sometimes, I wondered what she was doing, if she was still reaching out, still hoping for closure. That thought vanished when I got an email from Jason. The subject line was just my name. Inside, a single paragraph. "You deserve to know. I didn't know she was still with you. She told me you two had called it off. When I found out the truth, I ended it immediately. She's been a mess ever since. I don't expect forgiveness, but I thought you should hear it from me." I stared at the screen for a long time. Strangely, I didn't feel anger, just a hollow sort of clarity. Jason hadn't betrayed me. She had betrayed both of us, and that was worse. Months passed. The pain dulled, reshaping itself into something more manageable. People say time heals everything. That's not true. Time doesn't heal. It hides the wound under layers of acceptance until you can touch it without flinching. One morning, nearly 8 months later, I got a letter forwarded to my new address. No return name, but the handwriting was unmistakable. "Ryan, I wish I could undo what I did. I wish you'd yelled, screamed, anything. Your silence has been the loudest punishment of all. I don't expect you to forgive me, but please know, I'll never forget you. I hope you find peace, even if it's without me. Emily." I folded the letter carefully and set it in a drawer. There was nothing left to say. Years later, I ran into someone who knew her. It was at a coffee shop back in our hometown, a random encounter. They told me she had moved to another state, married someone else. They also said she still kept our wedding invitation framed in her closet, faded, worn, untouched. I didn't ask why. I didn't need to, because some ghosts don't haunt out of malice. They linger out of memory, out of the space where love once lived before it turned to ash. I walked out of that coffee shop feeling strangely lighter. For the first time, I realized I hadn't just left her behind that day. I'd left a version of myself who thought love was blind, unconditional, and eternal. Now I knew better. Love isn't blind. It sees everything and chooses who's worth the sight. And as for Emily, she never saw me again, but she'd always see the absence I left behind.